The Pittsburgh Steelers, always a team that thrives on calculated aggression in their roster construction, have already made one of the boldest moves of the 2025 offseason by acquiring star wide receiver DK Metcalf from the Seattle Seahawks. Metcalf brings a combination of size, speed, and athleticism that few receivers in the league can match. With 4 seasons averaging over 15 yards per catch, including a career-high 16.9 yards per reception in 2023, he is undoubtedly a true WR1 who instantly gives Pittsburgh's offense a much-needed boost. However, despite Metcalf's presence, the Steelers' wide receiver room remains incomplete. With the recent trade of George Pickens to the Dallas Cowboys, Pittsburgh has created a void that must be filled if they intend to compete seriously in 2025. Enter Alec Pierce. On Monday, Steelers Depot's Alex Kozora reignited the conversation by advocating for the Steelers to pursue Indianapolis Colts wide receiver Alec Pierce, a 25-year-old vertical threat who just led the entire NFL in yards per reception, 22.3, during the 2024 season. Kozora's case was clear. Pierce is a receiver who may not win in the exact same way as Pickens but can deliver the same explosive impact, and perhaps fit better into Pittsburgh's offensive structure. Pierce has size and playmaking ability as an outside threat the Steelers are searching for to replace Pickens. Pierce certainly doesn't win in the same way, but he has a similar impact, Kozora wrote. If the Colts like the other young receivers they have, if guys like Josh Downs and especially AD Mitchell develop, Pierce could become expendable. On the last year of his rookie deal, his price tag shouldn't be costly, and Pittsburgh could get back a 2027 comp pick even if Pierce leaves in free agency after the season. It's a compelling argument. The Steelers find themselves with a glaring hole at WR2, and Pierce, with his downfield playmaking and contract status, makes almost too much sense. His high average yards per reception, 17.6 over his career, makes him the perfect complement to Metcalf's physical, high-volume style. Pierce doesn't need 140 targets to be effective. He's a vertical weapon, a field stretcher who opens things up for the rest of the offense and punishes defenses that commit too much attention elsewhere. Let's not understate how rare it is to find a receiver who can average more than 17 yards per catch over multiple seasons. In all 3 years of his NFL career, Pierce has surpassed 14 yards per reception. That's not a fluke. That's a reflection of his skill set, his role in the offense, and his ability to consistently win deep routes. And it's worth noting that 2024 was his most complete year to date. Not only did he lead the league in yards per catch, but he also posted career highs in touchdowns, 7, receiving yards, 824, and finished the season strong with 3 scores in his final 4 games. This kind of production is exactly what the Steelers need to balance their offense. With Pat Freiermuth operating in the middle of the field and Metcalf commanding double teams on the boundary, inserting Pierce into this mix creates schematic chaos for opposing defenses. It's the type of offensive triangulation Pittsburgh hasn't had in years. Pierce's ability to thrive on low volume fits seamlessly into Arthur Smith's offensive philosophy, one that is expected to emphasize the run game and play-action concepts. The Steelers are not looking to create a pass-first juggernaut. They're looking for efficiency, explosiveness, and reliability. Pierce checks every box. Another aspect worth considering is cost. Unlike high-profile receivers who may command a first-round pick or an elite veteran in return, Pierce's situation is far more reasonable. On the final year of his rookie deal, the Colts have to decide whether to extend him, use him more sparingly in a crowded wide receiver room, or extract value now by trading him. With Michael Pittman Jr. entrenched as the WR1 and Josh Downs and Adonai Mitchell ascending in their roles, Pierce is no longer a necessity in Indianapolis. It's a numbers game, and Pierce may be the odd man out. The Steelers, meanwhile, are in a much different situation. Outside of Metcalf, the only receivers on the roster with starting potential are Robert Woods, Calvin Austin III, and Roman Wilson. Woods, once a high-level producer, is well past his prime. He logged just 203 receiving yards last season and isn't expected to be more than a situational veteran presence. Calvin Austin III showed some promise in 2024, but he's been mostly used in the slot and gadget plays. Asking him to take over as the full-time WR2 on the outside is a gamble, especially for a team with playoff aspirations. Then there's Roman Wilson, a 2024 third-round pick who only appeared in one game as a rookie due to injuries. While the coaching staff has high hopes for Wilson, he remains untested at the pro level and is better suited to work out of the slot. Beyond those three, the depth chart quickly becomes a collection of fringe roster players and camp hopefuls. Scotty Miller, Ben Skowronek, Brandon Johnson, Lance McCutcheon, Rock Taylor, and Kushawn Williams round out the rest of the receiver room. None of them are expected to push for serious snaps barring injuries or major surprise performances in training camp. If the Steelers plan to return to the postseason in 2025, they cannot go into the season with this group as is. Trading for Pierce, therefore, becomes more than just a need, it becomes a necessity. Even if his catch rate is under 50%, and even if he's never had more than 80 targets in a season, those numbers must be viewed in context. He played in a Colts system that spread the ball around, and he was often used as a clear-out or decoy. His value isn't measured in catch rate alone, it's measured in field position flipped, defensive backs pulled away from the action, and explosive plays that set up scoring drives. That's also what makes him a superior stylistic fit next to DK Metcalf than George Pickens was. Pickens was a player who wanted WR1 volume, who often lined up on the boundary and demanded the ball. He made spectacular catches, yes, but his consistency and off-field behavior made him a risky long-term investment. Pierce, by contrast, knows his role. He doesn't need 10 targets per game. He makes his mark with 4 to 5 shots down the field and a red zone opportunity. That kind of efficiency and team-first mentality is crucial in Arthur Smith's offense, which is expected to lean on play action and tight formations. So what would it cost? Given his expiring contract and his role on the Colts depth chart, the Steelers may be able to land Pierce for a day 3 pick, perhaps a 4th or 5th rounder. If that sounds too good to be true, consider that the Colts may not want to risk losing him in free agency for nothing, and a trade now could allow them to capitalize on his strong 2024 season while giving more snaps to their younger investments. It's a win-win scenario. Pittsburgh gets a proven deep threat for cheap, and Indianapolis clears the runway for its future stars. There's also the compensatory pick angle. As Kozora noted, if the Steelers do acquire Pierce and he leaves in 2026 free agency, Pittsburgh could receive a comp pick in 2027. That alone makes the trade low risk and potentially even net positive in the long run. The Steelers have already made bold moves this offseason. They sent a second-rounder to Seattle to land Metcalf, traded away Pickens for a third-rounder to avoid long-term drama, and added key veterans at other positions to strengthen the roster. Bringing in Alec Pierce would round out the offense and give the Steelers the explosive WR2 they're missing. It's a move that makes sense on every level, financially, schematically, and philosophically. It doesn't require a first-round pick. It doesn't require overhauling the offensive game plan. It simply adds a dynamic receiver who already fits the team's identity and can thrive in his role without disrupting the pecking order. As the Steelers gear up for what could be a defining season in the Mike Tomlin era, the need to solidify the receiver room cannot be overstated. DK Metcalf can't do it all. And unless Robert Woods experiences a career resurgence and both Austin and Wilson develop overnight, the offense will remain one piece short. Alec Pierce is that piece. Now it's up to Pittsburgh to go out and get him.